Are you using any other like search engines for finding bands, or is it just through Romeo that you use?
Do we use any other search engines to find bands? So basically,
social media like Twitter or
yeah, definitely. So wherever we think people are talking about music or talking about listening to music, our search engine will index it. So yeah, we index I don't think anybody indexes all of Twitter's content because there's too much of it. But you take sample sets of it, which is kind of the standard approach. And I think we would have as large a sample set of Twitter data in the music space as anyone on the planet, certainly in Australia. So Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, I think it's 3,500 blogs that we index, forums, just wherever we think people are going to be talking about music. So we're not like a Google where we basically search everything because, we don't have a data center that's worth $1 gazillion. We kind of, at the beginning, there was a degree of curation, I suppose, about, where, if we were going to manually search, where would we go? And we selected the blogs that we were going to index, and we selected the sites that we were going to index, and that became our index. And obviously it grows over time as bloggers approach us to say, hey, are you indexing my site as well, etc. So.
How do you know from the conversation that it's talking about music or a band?
Yeah, so that's a good question. How do you know from the search engine reading the text that it's actually about a band or an artist or something else completely? Well, that isn't easy. So what we do is giving away a bit of the secret sauce maybe, but we target a bunch of blogs that we know there are people who basically just read this stuff, okay, and they go to gigs, and we crawl those sites first, so we know what are we looking for first. And then we go out to the noisy universe of Twitter, wherever it is, and look for the mentions of those. I think if you start with just trying to find an artist on Twitter, it's going to be pretty tough, right? Because there's so much noise there. So you've got to try and find somewhere where human beings have done the first degree of editorial for you. I mean, it was similar in the news space when the main thing we would index in news space was RSS feeds, because in the RSS, which is basically just the kind of header description data of a particular document on the web, a human being has written, the keywords, a human being has written the summary or the headline. The important stuff is in the RSS, and a human being has basically written that. So you've got to go find some source of truth first that is reliable, and then go looking to sample for that elsewhere.
Clearly you've talked a lot about technology, but in terms of the greater business, where it started and where it is now, would you say technology was the biggest factor, or one of the biggest factors, or is it something else?
Yeah, so is the biggest factor in our business now technology, or is it something else? And I suppose Hunted is a year and a half down the track, and our business is about 3 years old. The business is still very tech-focused, if I just look at the people who are there. I mean, it's 80% programmers, right? And then there's a smattering of other people. But I think that the asset, if I actually look at the asset, Hunted, what is it? Why do people connect with it? It's not really about technology. People connect with that site because it's a very visual experience, it's music, and they love that, right? So I think we're building something in the brand, actually, that's very important, and probably something that we couldn't have done on our own without partnering with the right sort of creative guys at the very beginning. So the tech is very important, but it's very much about the brand too. And in fact, I suppose to expand upon that a little bit, look, there's plenty of tech companies and creative companies playing in the music space all over the world, and usually they'll focus on just tech or something just creative. And there's an outfit out of Boston who is a bit like us in a way, except they have absolutely no front-end website whatsoever. They have just built an engine that's very good at analysing music, a bit like Pandora. How many beats per minute is it? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is this an electro track? Is it sad? What key is it in? All that kind of stuff, which we do a bit of that, but it definitely takes it to another level. But the thing that they just don't have is any consumer-facing capability or ability to come up with creative ideas that use tech, but blend it with creative to get people using the thing. So I think we've got a pretty interesting blend of the two, but I think without the brand, you know, we probably wouldn't have much. Any more questions? Yep. Yeah. So.
When you first started, when the guys came to you with the idea, and you said that you came to an agreement very, very quickly, and was basically done on a handshake.
Yeah.
Was there any anxiety on either part that you could tell? Or was everybody just comfortable that let's just throw our ideas around?
Yeah, that's a good question. We on our side there was Stephen and I suppose, and on their side there was Nick and Ben, and we're a good 10 years older than them, I suppose. Not that that matters, doesn't matter, but maybe it mattered in that we had an attitude towards ideas that may have been different to theirs, and it did concern me at the beginning. To be honest, we think ideas are, you know, they're good, but unless you do something with them, they're nothing. It's kind of our attitude towards them, and we dream up ideas all the time, and we would have attempted dozens and dozens of ideas in the business. Most of them fail, you know, and even the idea we're working on now could fail. But it's about actually execution that's important. You've got to have a good idea, but you've got to execute. So I was a bit concerned at first with them, but I think they just wanted it to come to life, and they knew that they couldn't do it on their own, and we knew we couldn't do it without them, and we just got on well with them, you know. We just got on well with them, and they just seemed like guys that we could trust. We spent two months or so getting to know them a bit, and we just thought, well, let's just do it, because what's the worst that can happen? You know, it'll fail, big deal, you know, and we move on and do the next thing, or it's successful, and then we'll have to sit down. And I think we actually said, look, you know, we're going to have to sit down at some point if it does succeed. And everyone was cool with that. So I suppose there was a little bit of anxiety at first, but as we got to know them, and maybe it's not the sort of thing you could do with everyone. You know, you've got to have a feel for who you're dealing with. But you know, there's never been any difficult words with those guys whatsoever. And you know, we had to actually sit down and come up with a concrete agreement at one point, which isn't an easy thing to do, but we managed to do it.
So are lawyers and negotiators at the table?
No, lawyers certainly weren't at the table. I won't ever take a lawyer to a table. I've only been at a table with the lawyers once, and it was not a good experience, and I do not want to go back there. But we did get a lawyer, and they got a lawyer too, to just help document the agreement. So basically, I drafted the agreement that said, well, we talked about it, and then I said, well, I'll go away and I'll draft it. You guys can check it out, and then we'll just get somebody to transpose it into something that is, you know, appropriate. And look, to be honest, in hindsight, I've never had to get that document out of the bottom drawer. I mean, I know that's what it's there for, and I know what I spent on that document. I wish I hadn't, so I'm sure they would have spent the same. But anyway, you know, sometimes you have to do it properly, and that was, I suppose, one of those occasions.
Guys, please, big round of applause for Richard Slatter.
Thanks very much.
Thank you once again, Richard. We've got a bottle of wine here, courtesy of Clovelly Estate Wines.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you to Clovelly.
Thank you.
Guys, while we're at it, we'll also thank Greystone Bar, Deloitte Digital, and RMIT University that allow us to make this happen. For those of you who aren't aware, Nick is recording at the moment, so we do little YouTube videos of our Hive talks. We also record them for an audio podcast. All of it's available for free on the Hive website, so if you're a newcomer or you've just discovered the Hive, you can go back and listen to or watch some of our previous speakers as well. We just try and give away all that content and insight, because that's what we're about. We're just really nice guys. Some of you may know that this is the last event for the year. This marks 2 years for the Hive Brisbane. The Hive was originally founded in Melbourne by some friends of ours, which they ran it for 12 months first, and then we brought it to Brisbane in March last year, and we've run an event every last Tuesday of the month ever since. So we are just about to stop for Christmas again. We're back in February, ready to kick off our 3rd year. So thank you very much for your support. Please check out the website, become a member, and we look forward to seeing you in 2011. Thank you.